Hello. Hello. I am just letting people come in. This is a surprise. This is impromptu. I got we just gonna watch something together. Somebody told me about. I'm gonna give people a chance to come in. Oh yeah, I guess I could share this as well for some people. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me see. Follow up with when I no, girl, I'm not talking to you. Give me a second. Girl, I went to see Beyonce. Hi, Yolanda. Yes, you are first. Thanks for showing up, girl. We just doing something real quick, and well, I don't know how quick it's going to be, but it's a light, something like. Is it light? I don't know. People were telling me about this video we're going to watch. People have been talking about it for weeks. I think it's been out for a few weeks now, and I don't watch this channel anymore. So I didn't watch it. I saw it in. Oh, how was it? Yeah, let's talk about that. The concert was incredible. Um, the whole experience was incredible. I have to. Oh, what's today? Monday. I have to edit the video into a little vlog because I promised you guys I would do that. So that's going to be my work for tomorrow. Today, I just kind of rested from traveling and everything, but I should be able to get that out to you between tomorrow and Wednesday, so you guys can kind of see it. It ain't much. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm not that great of a vlogger. I may get better. I need to get used to doing some of that stuff. I'm highly self conscious about, like, we see the vlogs and it's nice to see it, the finished product, but actually having to go and like set up set up a camera and stuff and do things out in public and being in the way and stuff like that, I'm very much so attuned to that, the reality of that. And so when I'm out, I'm very self-conscious about disrupting things in that way. It feels like a disruption to me. So yeah, I just try to do what I can do out of the way of other people and stuff. And I'm still figuring out, how I'm going to do what I'm trying to do. But that being said, I did promise you that, yeah, and I was there to enjoy, but I got enough, I think, to try to share the experience with you guys because it was so beautiful. I wanted to share it. That's the thing. Like, it was so impactful for me that I wanted to give you guys at least a piece of it if I could. And so that was really cute. But yeah, everything was smooth sailing. The travels was to and fro were smooth. Um and Wake Up, like, shout out to Wake Up. Oh my God. Like, she's just an incredible human being. I don't even know what else to say. She made it such a wonderful, um, easy. She just pretty much took care of everything, and that was amazing. So definitely, definitely, shout out to Wake Up Makeup Slay, and Alicia was there, Kenny was there, and we had a wonderful time. It was just like cousins meeting up, Um, really, truly had a wonderful time, and I can't wait for other opportunities for more of us, to get together and things. So yeah, thank you so much for asking. Hey, Mac. Yeah, so I guess that I will. Do I need to do the what's the face? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it just because I feel like I need to do an intro. Part of me feels like this is unofficial because, like, I don't necessarily. Here's my concern about it. I'm not doing this to be sensational. Um, Generally, like, when I do reviews of different things or whatever, I typically don't do those kind of things of like, oh, I'm calling this person to the carpet type of thing, right? Um, but this video, like I said, I heard about this video a few weeks ago, but I chose not to watch it because I just had kind of chosen um, not to watch this person's channel anymore because I was just tired of like being triggered in a particular kind of way. It's when I bring up the thing, we can kind of get into who it is. I don't know why. I guess it's pageantry on my part trying to give production value, but like when you see who it is, like we could get into the ins and outs of like my philosophy on this particular person. Not that I've uh, held my tongue about it before, but I'm just saying like that to give more context as to like why I felt like I needed to talk about this here. So I'm gonna play the intro and then we'll come back.
This is a mother.
You in charge of the girls, right?
I am in charge of the girls.
Are you in charge of the girls?
I am in charge of the girls.
So yeah, you see who it is, right? So here's the thing. Hey DJ. Yeah, it wasn't it was so much fun. And I think it was just so everybody was so excited to be there. And I've been to like compilation concerts where it's a bunch of different people, coming and performing all at once or whatever. I've never been to like, oh, this is the headliner type of thing. And so to go to a concert where it's like, oh, it's Beyonce, you know what I mean? It was just like everybody was just so geeked to be there, honored to be there. Like we were all on the same and I guess too, always having to be in mixed company with people who don't like Beyonce, who will find some kind of reason to dislike her I'm not even saying you have to like her, but to like discredit her obvious artistry and like um meticulous execution of her vision, because that's what I one of the things I greatly admire about her is just like yeah, it's him. So here's the thing: when I first came across FD Signifier a few years ago, I was like, oh, this is nice, this is good wholesome content, you know what I mean? I am one of the women who would like to see more intelligent um black men. Like I like to see good representation of black men. I like to see what I consider to be wholesome content from well-meaning people and people who have a high emotional intelligence and everything like that. And at the time, what I saw him talking about, I was just like, oh wow, I this is something I can support, I can get behind. I wasn't like a subscribe. I mean, I was a subscriber, but I wasn't like a member of his channel or anything. But I was subscribed to him, and I enjoyed watching his video essays. And I like video essays. Like I'm kind of a brainy person in that way. I like diving deep into certain subjects and stuff, and the stuff he would talk about and the people he wound up kind of connecting with sometimes. This person, CJ the X, that I was watching well before I knew about FD Signifier. He started collabing with him or talking to him sometimes. So it was just like, okay, this is someone who talks in a way that I can appreciate about things that I also have interest in with people that I also like and stuff like that. Cool, 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 cool. And specifically, like when he would talk about advocating for boys, black men and boys, I was like, oh, that's amazing. As someone who has a niche group of people, i.e., black women at the time, more so black single mothers and stuff. But as someone who had niched down in terms of who I called myself advocating for, I could appreciate him being like, oh, I have a unique perspective that is solely focused on this group of people and blah, 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 blah. And they have their own unique needs and this and that and the other. I agree with that. I don't have a problem with that, right? So I was like, okay, yeah, he's a family man, little black babies with his black wife. Awesome, 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 awesome. What changed for me though was when all that stuff had went down. Hey Yami, yeah, I didn't this is impromptu. This is impromptu. Somebody was telling me about this. I've been hearing about this video we're going to watch together, but somebody was telling me even more so about this, and they were really upset about it. And like, I was like, okay, let me kind of see what's going on, because I'd already heard some of the things they were saying, and I had my own opinions about it, but they were so worked up. I just was like, okay, maybe I should go ahead and review this live. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. But yeah, that when that whole stuff with codology went down, I'm gonna be honest with you, like I don't even remember the specifics about what the issue was. I do believe though it had something to do with like his defense of trans issues and stuff like that. I think Kadali just has a lot of generally conservative views on things. So it's not me saying that I agree with her, but it was more so about how he conducted himself within that exchange. And then when he was like confronted about it or brought to task about it, it just gave very dismissive, and there were certain little things he did and said that to me my spider senses kind of started going off about certain things with him and black women. And in the face of whenever he would come up anywhere, and especially when he started coming over to Themis, that was more so of a confirmation, because sometimes he would be challenged directly about his views on things like black femicide and all types of stuff. And the way he answers those things, it's like it's dismissive. There's an arrogance about it, and there's also a bit of, what would I call that? Passive aggression. There's also a bit of passive aggression that I detect. Now, again, this is me standing on my perceptions. This is me standing on my opinions. This is how I feel. But like I said, I have been very vocal about these feelings, over on Themis's live, wherever I'm at, where he is discussed, I make it very clear where I stand with him. So it is what it is. But like I said, I don't even have a thumbnail. I didn't do any kind of pageantry with this, because this is not about me like trying to start an argument or anything, or trying to build my channel off of him, because hopefully, as long as he don't do nothing else weird like this, or my goal is to not talk about him again. You know what, I'm over here, like it's not something I'm not. Please don't get used to me talking about him, and it's definitely not going to be a strategy on which to try to build my channel based off of talking on him. But I did want to talk about this video. I have not watched it. I've only heard specific things about it. Like I said, that sounded like it was something I wouldn't mind discussing over here that could be pertinent to some of the things we talk about. Yeah, misogynist, and this exactly. And that kind of goes into what I was talking about before when I was talking about a vulnerable median. A lot of the times, especially during these conversations about women need to choose better and this and that and the other, the overtone is basically, if you picked quote unquote good guys, then you wouldn't have the problems that you have. And for me, that incenses me, because a lot of the time, I would argue even most of the time, women think they're picking good guys. You know what I mean? And I will argue, yes, are there women who go for quote unquote bad boys for specific reasons? Yes, absolutely. But there are more women, in my experience, that are just looking for a quote unquote nice guy that they are reasonably attracted to be boyfriend, girlfriend with, do all the things, whatever. And it seems like those are the ones that do the most damage, because women are going in thinking they are safe. And those are the ones that will rely on, these tropes of Pookie and Ray Ray and this and that and the other to excuse their behaviors, to try to give you a false sense of security and or gaslight you into thinking that you're just doing too much. And that's why I have a particular disdain for men who do stuff like that. Hey, Concern. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and make myself little, make this bigger, make me little, so we can go ahead and watch this. And yeah, I will jump in sometimes.
At the end of the video, so please stay tuned to the end, please, and thank you. something that managed to kind of fly by my creative needs, feeds, whatever, in the past couple of weeks of red pill nonsense and political nonsense and civil unrest in the States and possibly world-altering military conflict is that Mark Lamont Hill kind of casually announced that he is dealing with depression on the Joe Budden podcast. I've already talked about the red pill adjacent stuff that may be related to this. I've also discussed what's happening in LA on the main channel with a lot more to come by the time you see this video, hopefully. And I'm not very knowledgeable on international affairs, so I won't be trying to explain why we are or aren't about to be in a new world war by the time this comes out. But I do know a thing or two about black men and mental health. And since June is Men's Mental Health Month, I want to talk about it. Mark Lamont Hill is probably the best black public intellectual around right now. Him and like Ta-Nehisi Coates are in a similar category, but we get to see a lot more of Mark because he's on all these different shows and he has his own show. While black public intellectuals are not new, most have often told a very liberal line of being agitative enough to say some good things while not going too far to risk their position. Mark is not one of those guys. Mark has never been a Democrat, voted third party consistently for years before it was a cool thing to do, was fired from CNN way back in 2018 for criticizing Israel's ongoing apartheid state. In the last few years, he has decided to eschew more traditional news mediums as his bread and butter and start his own independent content here on YouTube, as well as still doing stuff for other people, including becoming a regular on the Joe Budden podcast. For those who don't know, this is probably the biggest black male-oriented podcast around, if not the biggest black podcast, unless you're comparing them to The Breakfast Club, which is technically a radio show. But the point is, Mark Lamont Hill's there, he's doing good work, and while he was there, he said some things that weren't just necessarily alarming, but made me want to talk about this particular framework that he exists in, that a lot of black men exist in, that isn't talked about a lot, which is that Mark Lamont Hill is what many people might call one of the good ones. Which is really gross on a few levels, because it implies that black men who aren't as highly acclaimed and talented as Mark Lamont Hill aren't good. But more importantly, it creates a lot of pressure and responsibility for men like Mark Lamont Hill, which can take an extremely heavy toll that's often hard to talk about publicly or privately. And that's kind of what came across with Mark in this very short, brief moment on the podcast.
On night school, they said you just guzzling the Red Bulls.
I'd be so tired. I'd be so tired right before I do night school that I do like a Red Bull and then I struggle to get to sleep. I've been dealing with depression too, so I've been trying to manage that. And so then I do a lot of over exercise and things like that to calm myself, and then that makes me super tired.
Does your wife do Red Bull too?
No, she won't touch the stuff.
Is she not on top of you about the Red Bull?
She
You
tells me
seem
to
too
stop.
wise.
Wait, I
you
hide
seem
under the
too
desk.
wise to do Red Bull the way that you
We
do.
just skipped over
you say you deal with depression?
Yeah, like we just
It's
skipped
Joe
over.
Budden podcast. The Red Bull's way more interesting.
I didn't hear him say depression.
I just want to remind y'all, I'm watching this for the first time with you guys. I don't know if he's going to define good. From what I've been told, I think he will, and we're probably going to talk about it.
Depression.
Yeah.
He said I deal with depression.
Yeah.
I get why the rhetoric of one of the good ones exists. I just did a video kind of engaging that a few videos back. An immediate landscape that tends to hyper-focus on black men who are doing bad things and tries to promote certain images of black men that are detrimental to black people, whether it be caricatures of criminality and antisocial behavior or bootlicking right-wing figures masquerading as being pro-black. Having men like Mark Lamont Hill in prominent positions and celebrating him there. And this is good, if not just for the goal of showing an imposing image of black masculinity for other black men to aspire to and look at as an example to follow. But it doesn't happen in a vacuum, and Mark mentions this in that short segment. Mark talks about struggling with sleep and how he is struggling with a lot of responsibilities he has for his family as one of the good black men. And in a cool moment to show the value of brotherhood, even when the brothers are imperfect in their politics and their presentation, it's the other men who are not one of the good ones type dudes on the podcast who stop everything and kind of check in with him real quick. They give him a chance to speak on what's bothering him. And Mark makes the somewhat disappointing but completely understandable decision to kind of sidestep the conversation overall. He makes light of it, and then seemingly they move on to another topic. Still, kudos to the other men on the podcast for hearing their brother say something that should have raised a red flag and pausing everything just to check in. Still, there's a lot to unpack here. Going back to that one of the good ones concept, I imagine Mark finds himself in a paradoxically difficult position. He is a part of that mythical talented tent that I've talked about on many occasions, that you know about if you are a black person my age or probably younger, that has college educated parents or went to black schools with black teachers and black principals. They taught us that concept from W.E.B. Du Bois to say that it's your responsibility to get out there, do your best possible work to get as many resources as you can and bring those resources back to the community. Now, this has never really been what happens. That's why Du Bois himself rejected that concept later on in his life. Many of the talented Tith go and get theirs and then never look back. But Mark is not one of those people, at least as it pertains to his close family union. Mark seems to have been using his talent and status and resources to help a lot of people out. It's a rough spot to be in because when you have so much going for you and so much to be happy about, but you're wired like me and I assume Mark Lamont Hill, it's hard to feel satisfied with where you are and feel like your peers and loved ones aren't doing as well, and thus you can't appreciate the resources that you've actually amassed. And the response to this is often to work harder so that you can do more to help more, eventually putting your own health and well-being at risk in the process.
Okay, so far, what he's talking about for me, I can identify that as what they call survivor's remorse. You know, there was actually a show about it. One of the boys went to the NBA, and it was talking about his struggles with adjusting to being the one that made it, you know, surrounded by people who didn't and depended on him and were kind of relying on him, in some cases mooching off him, all of the things, right? I have more thoughts about that, but I just wanted to take the time to acknowledge that I recognize that concept that he's talking about. And I have, yes, 2L, survivor, and I have understanding of that. And so I'm just going to put a pin in that for later.
I got a stupid question for you.
Yeah.
What the hell are you depressed about, man?
Joe. You know it's not
mental
fair.
health doesn't work like that.
Well,
Unless he wants to.
I'm
Well,
ask-
that's true.
I'm,
I mean, you gotta say
I'm
that.
asking.
No, I mean, the short answer is that I have to take care of a lot of people,
Day of the life of a black man.
and that creates emotional toll, financial toll. Then there's just having to, you know, all that shit, and my own health, right? So all those things combine. You know what I mean? So like my wife's mother's sick. My mother she's not sick, but she's just needs a lot of care because she's blind. I got a brother I got to take care of who's locked up. I got his son who's not locked up, who I got to care for because he's 13 and black and outside. You know what I'm saying? And a good kid, but just, you know, a lot of that. I got my
And
own.
your brother's gonna be locked up for how much longer?
He'll be home in year and a half.
Okay.
He'll be home in a year and a half.
All right, fans.
This is something so common among black men that it actually has a sociological term called John Henryism. And John Henryism basically is a pattern of overwork and avoiding health needs that occurs among black men who put fulfilling that specific masculine role and being a resource to other people over their own well-being and longevity. Despite common stereotypes about black men have always been hard workers and providers in their communities, and many a study has shown this and shown how it leads to worsened health outcomes as these men grind themselves to the bone for sake of fulfilling that role. And this is something I know personally because all the strongest, best black men I knew growing up are dead. Every single one of them. A few made it to their early 80s, most barely made it into their 60s, a few checked out before 50, usually from heart disease of some sort. Meanwhile, most of the least around and kicking. We're talking about the most drinkingest, smoking, raising dudes you can think of. Now, they're miserable, most of them. Many are dealing with the consequences of lives full of substance and vice, but they're still here. And that's something that I'll always keep in mind when I decide if I'm going to do a video about the ongoing crisis in the Congo or Beyonce. And this, by the way, but it does take on a different tone for black men because we're not just working to support communities, we're also unconsciously or consciously one of the reasons why I never liked that one of the good ones concept too tough, because I understand how it ends up working against everyone. Because we're not just working to support communities, we're also unconsciously or consciously working to defy racial stereotypes that are put upon us. That's one of the reasons why I never liked that one of the good ones concept too tough, because I understand how it ends up working against everyone, even when it's something that might be useful in the moment. But again, if you're wired a certain way, it's really hard not to put in more work and effort to ensure that those around you can be as blessed as you've been. The other thing I want to unpack from this moment is the fact that Mark kind of sidesteps the conversation. This is very likely just a matter of managing his comfort level and not making everything into content, which is very, very significant and will come up again in a moment. While it is good to talk about mental health publicly for the sake of destigmatizing mental struggles, it's also asking a lot of the individual doing that work. It's not easy to be emotionally vulnerable publicly for anyone, and definitely not for Black men, and even less so in the content creation world, and even more so in the world of hip hop, which is technically what that podcast is all about. Even though if you listen to rap music closely, you'll hear rappers always expressing their struggles with mental health, their struggles with working through their pain and their trauma and their turmoil. It's ironically not a part of the regular discourse around the music, but if you've ever heard Ready to Die, you understand that's Biggie working through some shit. So this isn't uncommon. And I know for me, my fear is that if I show that I'm not doing the best, that those around me who do depend on me will feel a sense of guilt for what they need or be afraid to ask. And while this may provide a needed break of some sort, it also means that whatever problem there is, it probably will just get worse in the meantime while I'm taking my little break and require even greater effort to fix in the future. So when I have my personal moments of stress, I tend to keep the circle of knowledge on that close to the vest. I'm not saying that this is the healthiest way to handle this, by the way. I'm just expressing it because I know I'm not the only one who's doing that. So in a moment of immense irony, right after writing this particular section in this video, a couple of days ago when I was writing this, I got a text message from my cousin Bianca. The details of this message from my cousin are not the best, but very ironically connect to what I was just talking about with Mark.
Okay, so I just want to give you guys a heads up that this is the stuff that we're getting into, the part of this that people were talking about. Like I said, I had awareness of this video weeks ago because of discussions going on around me about this particular part of the video and certain aspects that, you know, I will give commentary on afterwards. And I'll open up the panel later too. But yeah, just wanted to let you know this is pay especially good attention to this part.
Mark Lamont Hill, except taking the subject from him to me. My cousin Bianca has been battling cancer since maybe 2008.
I had no idea he used the person's picture. Again, I was just hearing people talk about it. I didn't even know it got this deep to where he used the person's picture. Okay.
She went into remission for a hot second, going into COVID. And then in 2000, I think maybe 22 or 23, her cancer came back with a vengeance, immediately entering her into stage 4 and has metastasized throughout different areas of her body. For a while, it was areas where she wasn't in any serious danger. She was just, managing as stage 4 cancer, I guess, is. But this message was letting us know that that was no longer the case. And as a family, we needed to start considering or planning for the end of her battle. The end of the battle means figuring out what's going to happen with 2 of her youngest children, ages 12 and 9, the same ages of my children, and figuring out what is going to be done with them because their fathers are not in the picture. And the reflexive idea that I and everyone else in my family had was that it would be me and my wife and my family that take those children into our home so that they don't end up in foster care. Because as I said, there's no expectation that the fathers of these children are going to be in any way available to take care of them. I've known about the possibility of this since earlier this year, and I've been mulling over that decision this entire time, thinking about what the consequences to it might be. On one end, These are children, and I want them to not be in foster care. I know what that system looks like. I used to essentially work in that system. There's no situation in which I can imagine members of my family go into the system the way that I know that system works. At the same time, I am not actually a wealthy, famous YouTuber. I am fake famous. I get recognized all the time. But as you can see, if you are a fan of, different YouTubers in the general space I occupy, the money in YouTube is not what people think it is. I am doing very well. I'm doing, in fact, way better than a lot of other people, partly because of the amount of work I put out and because I put in a lot of work to make sure the algorithm is always a fan of FD Signifier. But I don't make fuck it, let's take in 2 kids and not worry about it money. That's a whole different situation. And I don't want to be in the same headspace as Mark Lamont Hill is right now. And I know that is the reality of the good ones when they step up to the plate to pay off what they feel like they owe to the communities around them. I fear the consequences of saying yes, of like what that means for me as a father, as a husband, as a content creator, but I also greatly fear the consequences of saying no. And how do you manage to take care of and keep hold of young children without them getting systematized in like who is going to be responsible, who is going to manage resources that are made available for them, and all those different things. My family's like a lot of Black families in that taking in a child for, a couple of years of school or for a little while a parent gets themselves out of a situation or gets up on their feet or whatever, like that is not abnormal. But in this case, we're talking about planning for permanently adopting children. One thing I know that children need more than anything when they're in that type of situation is consistency and stability, or all those outcomes and things you worry about with them being systematized become more dire issues for them to face. And although I have shared my cousin's story and had plans to talk about the things that she's went through battling cancer at a later date, the fact that this message came to me in the middle of me talking about how Mark Lamont Hill is handling his own similar situation, I felt like that was like divine intervention. I felt like my hand was being pushed. I feel like although I know the dilemma of being one of the good ones and talking about the need for me to preserve the things I've built, the things that I care most about in my home, and the possible public scrutiny that might bring, may be something that someone watching this also needs to hear, because it's men like myself, men like Mark Lamont Hill, who often feel like they have the least right to complain about the situation they're in. This is probably why Mark immediately sidestepped talking about what he was going through. And even knowing that there's people out there that will watch this that needed to hear this message, it doesn't assuage the fact that there's this serious level of anxiety or guilt about speaking through my, in this situation, very first world problems, knowing that the rest of the world right now, so much of it is in turmoil. As I alluded to earlier in the video, we are on the precipice of literal global warfare. So 2 children going into foster care to some people would be a walk in the park considering the things they're actually facing. That's the paradoxical, horrifying nature of trying to manage your own mental health, trying to manage your wellness in general, not just as a man, not just as a Black man, but in general, managing it against the reality of your particular situation could be considered minute in the face of what other people are dealing with. My struggle is unique to me, or maybe unique to men like me, but your struggle might be managing family and resources that you don't have, or not having a support system to hold you down the way we're trying to figure out for my cousin. Maybe you're dealing with substance abuse. Maybe it's a challenge in the home. Maybe you have a marriage or a family situation that is breaking apart. Maybe you have genuine, severe mental health issues and you're lacking resources to get help for it. Whatever your situation is, my heart goes out to all of you. But bringing it back to Men's Mental Health Month, what I will add is that there is more help and support out there than you realize. This is why I'm also a fan of group talks, like any type of group circle type situation. I'm actually a member of Black Men Build. They have chapters all over the country. I went to my first chat with other Black men here in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. Maybe you don't have time or access to something like that. Social media is something that everybody has access to. I follow numerous Black health and wellness accounts, such as Every Every Nigga Deserves. I follow Professor Odie, Express Yourself Black Man. All of this is on Instagram. I've talked about numerous figures before that also might fit in this category. Put them in the comment section if you see them. There's tons more out there, so please share whatever resources you have, not just for black men, but for men in general, because we're all out here trying to survive. Last, I want to end on a note of seeking help for my cousin. Regardless of what happens in the future, my cousin is still here and she needs help. She has struggled to work and thus is falling behind on her finances. So we're also trying to raise money for her end of life care. So if and only if it's easy for you to give, please donate to her GoFundMe. It'll be linked in the description. I'll also be posting it on all my social media feeds. Thank you so much for those of you who decide to donate. Thank you to everyone who's watching. I'm FD Signifier and this has been Light Work.
Okay, so yeah, that's the video. First thing, want to get some stuff out of the way. Number one, and I'm just saying as a disclaimer because I know the spaces I'm in. I know how conversations tend to go with us. So this is just something I'm covering the base right now so that we don't get into doing that. I don't want any kind of discussion about his wife. I don't want his wife to be brought up in any way, shape, or form when speaking about his actions. We do not know her. So there's no reason, when we're upset at the man to bring their spouse into it. So I'm just saying that that's a rule for my platform specifically, and I just want to make sure that's clear before I get to talking. That being said, I want to acknowledge that, number one, that's a tough situation to be in as a family member, as someone, taking in that stuff. I do want to acknowledge that is some stuff. I also want to acknowledge that Mark Lamont Hill's issues are real issues, and any human person would be having trouble or could be having trouble grappling and coping with all of that and handling it. You know what I mean? So this is not a denouncement of black men or anyone having actual problems, of needing support, of struggling, any of that. What more? I'm trying to cover all my bases here. This is his channel. People come there to, be with him, to learn about him, to spend time with him. So in that sense, it makes sense that he would talk about himself, his feelings, or whatever, on his channel to people who are invested in him and his brand, right? Also want to point something out that with his family member needing money, it makes sense that he would do what he could, which is use his platform to get the eyes on it, to get people to donate and everything like that. So I will say that makes sense to me that he would bring the video. But what we're going to get into is the framing. Okay, that's my issue. So like I said, I heard about this video a few weeks ago. I think it had dropped a few weeks ago. Now, when it comes to me, like I said, the issues that I were having with like FD and feeling a type of way about who he seems to be as a black man, it went from me being subscribed to his channel to a while ago unsubscribing to his channel, but still, open to watching his stuff when it came up on my feed, to more recently hitting do not recommend on him because it just got to a point where even seeing him on my feed was just like, ugh, no. You know what I mean? And I do remember seeing this particular video come up on my feed. I remember because it was Mark Lamont Hill on the thumbnail at the time. And I remember being somewhat interested in like what was going on, but at the same time was like, no, because he's going to say something and it's going to piss me off. And and that's when I hit, it's time to hit do not recommend on his feed. So I have not been watching any of his stuff for a while, and I did not watch this video myself. But what I was hearing in conversations going on around me was that he was discussing a family member's sickness. The family member was passing away. The family member had children that it looked like him and his wife were going to have to take in, and that he had some trepidation about taking on these children, and was speaking about it in a way as if it would be burdening him. And I also had gotten indication that these children were girls. And so that kind of made me go, of course the ice cream truck wants to traipse down the street right now when I'm talking. Hopefully you can hear me more. Let me know if it gets too loud for you. So I was kind of like, ugh, you know. Also, like I said, alarms went off for me when noticing that the children were girl children, because to me, I said, oh, it kind of makes sense to me that he would see having girl children come in. I mean, and I want to be real. Having unexpected kids that you didn't even bust the nut to be able to have come into your life and have to take care of them. Kids are expensive. You know what I mean? I had two of them. So I know, like, it's not me saying, oh, he should be happy to do, but still it was just like, okay, I could see how I just felt like if it were boys, he would have framed it completely different. Honestly. That's my personal, again, I'm saying my opinions. That's my opinion. That's what I think would have happened. We will never know, but that's what I was thinking. So then when someone else brought it back to my attention more recently and was explaining, they were saying pretty much the same things that I was saying, but they actually had watched it. It was just like, oh, wow. Okay. All right. That makes sense. So let me go. I'm going to go to like a couple of statements comments people made during the thing that I pinned. It said, how did he turn "my cousin is dying of cancer" into a potential inconvenience for him? So, yes, the way it was, but first of all, I want to start there on the way the cousin was presented. And this is where we're talking about tone for me. And this is where I feel like the misogynoir is just always screaming at me through him, because you being him, be in spaces where women are discussed, single mothers are discussed, certain things are discussed. So at this time where your cousin is dying, and like I said, I get that the point is to get eyes on it, to get money to the GoFundMe. I can rock with that. However, you're well aware that even if you're meaning to go for people who are sympathetic to your person, that there are going to be other kinds of people, namely men, namely black men, lurking, that are going to use the information that you presented in the way that you presented about your cousin in a way that is demeaning to her, in a way that will not be helpful, in a way that will be mean and nasty, and use that to kind of drag her and this and that and the other. I don't know if she'd be online or not. I'm just saying, to me, that was very distasteful. It said also, oh my God, why is he centering himself in this situation? Again, I'm going to allude to the fact that this is his channel. People they paying to see him, Otis. So I get that, he's going to talk about it. I put myself in things that I discuss. I will not say. But the part that bothered me about the way he was centering himself and then making this a good guy issue. And that is where I take umbrage with this man, because again, going to the fact that this is his cousin, who it appears is a single mother. He said fathers, so she has multiple kids with two fathers or whatever. My point is, I feel like you're positioning this woman to be dragged in a particular kind of way that you are acutely aware of. And this is your family, right? Who is dying. And on top of that, you're going to use, while doing that to her, while offering her up in that way, you're positioning yourself and lifting and exalting yourself as a good, I'm such a good, the plight of the good black man. Oh my God. The plight of the good black man. Hell no. It said, did she agree to this level of sharing? I'm going to go out on a limb and say that she, and assume she did, assume there was a conversation had, assume that all of the things that I'm saying in terms of the reasoning for it and what he's going to do, I doubt he told them exact framing of it, but I'm pretty sure it was sold to them if it was discussed as, oh, I'm doing this so that you can get money to your GoFundMe. And of course, what are they going to say? But yeah, thank you, sure, whatever, do what you can, right? So that's what I'm going with on this. Not sure why this is on the internet, but I have had to tell family members I cannot take their kids if they die. I'm only stating this here because y'all don't know me. And that's perfectly fine. Like, this is not a thing about, oh, you have to, you should, whatever, like that. Like, make the choices that are best for you. But I'm talking about him bringing it to who he has brought it to, whether it was passively or on purpose, and framing it the way he framed it, and as always, positioning himself as, oh, I'm such a good guy, feel bad for me, exalt me, give me props, whatever, while, like I said, positioning his family member for that kind of exposure. It says the kids are older, and that ultimate, when I first heard about this, that was my initial thing was, oh, they're girls. He would frame it differently if they were boys. And also, how dare he put this on the internet in this way that it sounded like he was framing it, and this is pretty much how he was. How, sorry y'all, my thing reset itself. How dare he? Oh, wait a minute. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me, because I can't see. Oh, I think it's moving. How dare he frame it in a way that would, if they were to hear it, like, how would they feel if they were to hear this conversation? You know what I mean? Hey, Campari. Yeah, so now I'm coming back. Those are the ones that I kind of wanted to speak to talk about my points here. Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about when I talk about, like, the misogynoir that I see. I was telling somebody, like, it's like, you don't see it at first because there's so much there that you're just like, oh no, he's a good guy. He's trying, you like, he gives good guy, and that's what you get initially. But it's like, once I saw the misogynoir, it's hard for me not to, in him specifically, it's hard for me not to pick up on it. And like I said, it's sometimes the way he discusses things when he's been on Themis's lives and he's addressed about certain particular issues like black femicide, and he does that little smirk or that little, you know, it's very arrogant. It's very passive aggressive. I do not like it. I am not fucking with it. And so at least I know it ain't just to us, you know, this is just how he do. And so it's just like, ugh. I'm actually disgusted. I'm so sad for those girls. I'm so sad for their mother. I hope everything works out. Oh, I didn't get the, you know where to find it. Where's his goal? If someone would send me maybe in Discord or something the GoFundMe for the woman, we can put that in here if you want to donate to her, you know, all of the things. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and copy the invite link. I invite anyone up that wants to discuss what we just saw. If you want to, no pressure. That, yeah, once you see it, you just can't unsee it. They would feel like a burden. That's what I'm thinking, on top of the fact that, like, their mother is dying. Their mother's fucking dying. And so now they got to contend with, if they are going to live with you, having to grapple with all of what you said and how you said it about their mother, about them. Like, it just, and I don't even know, it's not my business enough, but I don't even know if this is just a thing, a lack of, consideration of this, or if he knows it, because this is the part when he do that smirk and stuff like that. That's when I'm just kind of like, I feel like a part of him already knows. He knows, and he delights in being cruel in this. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know. I can't say. Oh yeah, there's also, hey Renatel, thank you, Concern. Thank you so much. Concern put the GoFundMe in the chat. I also want to share something else real quick, because he was talking, this is another aspect that kind of annoyed me, the way he was talking about John Henryism, and especially specifically, I see you too, Els. I'm gonna get to you in a second. Just let me play this clip. I'm gonna play real quick. The way he discussed, and I see you Concerned too. the way he discussed John Henryism in the context of, these quote unquote good black men having to take on the burden of the family. Hello, black women do that shit all the time. Like, it's literally a part of every story of a black woman overcoming some shit is her having to raise her parents' children or her siblings' children or whatever. Is her having to cook and clean and feed for the father that wasn't there or the father that is there but doesn't do shit or whatever. There's black women all the time, aunties, cousins, sisters, friends, picking up slack for men that do not carry their fucking weight all the time, for other family members who do not carry their fucking weight. Like, that's literally, but it's never discussed the same way as like, oh, these poor good men, how dare they have to do this. Is stuff that black women do casually, that it's treated as a casual occurrence all the time. That's why they keep saying that the black community is a matriarchy, because black women are just doing this because nobody else is here to do it. So then when you have a handful of black men that did what they were supposed to do, and oh, woe is us, we got to do all this. And again, it's not me saying that they shouldn't have to grapple with it, that it shouldn't be a burden. It is a burden, but I'm saying it's a burden on us too, but it's treated as everyday life. Now, also want to be clear, this is not me saying that I expect him on his platform, which is a black male-centered platform, it's black male-centered with an eye for white people voyeurism. Hello. Platform, that he would be making a video about that in the context of how black women are. That's not me saying that he should have been making a video about that at all, but I'm saying like it's rich to me for him to have that conversation in that way when that is just the standard, and the expectation. And again, the casual reality of the black community is black women doing that as a given. I'm going to bring you guys on. Hold on. Hey, that's 2 L's. Concerned and Jermaine. Now, I don't know who you are, and you're new here, but I'm letting you know, Jermaine, this is a black woman-centered channel. We're not really doing a whole bunch of devil's advocacy here. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I may just drop you. I don't know. That's not a threat. And it don't mean you got to be cussing or nothing. But if it's disturbing to my core audience, I'm going to take you down. Just letting you know it is what it is. But welcome regardless. Let me get small. Oh, let me stop sharing this too. There's everyone. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, yes, Invincible Summer, John Henryism isn't gender. And so I'm about to play something else really quick before we start talking, because it's so funny. I saw this, I don't know if I was on my way to DC or on my way back from DC. And this was definitely before I knew I was about to talk about this. I didn't know he mentioned John Henryism, but the universe be lining stuff up for me. So hold on.
The strong black woman archetype is now being studied in psychology, and I just took a webinar on it, and it was very, very interesting. I want to share with you guys some things that I learned. Now, in this webinar, it said that a lot of strong black women, quote unquote, right, they suffer from the John Henryism. Now, John Henry was a real man. He's a folk hero. Now, there's been conflicting reports on the accuracy of the story, but basically, John Henryism is a strong behavioral predisposition to cope actively with psychosocial and environmental stressors, meaning that you perform better in that kind of environment. You're pushed, motivated by that environment, and you cope better in that type of stressful situations. And you do that by exerting extreme determination in an effort basically to overcome this situation that you're in, right? the barriers. And this webinar says that a lot of black women suffer from this. And it's also a very bad survival strategy, basically, because in the John Henry story, he actually died by continuing to do this. His heart went out and he died. It also says that a lot of black women suffer from binge eating, okay, that they don't feel like is actually an issue because of body positivity within the black community, which they say actually hurts us because we don't believe that we're as big as we actually are. Depression, anxiety, and chronic stress. Allostasis is another issue that they say is really hurting black women, because allostasis is your ability to adapt to change, right? So they're saying that basically in homostasis, your body is reacting to a stressor, right? And your body is doing what it can to calm down the heart, calm down the blood pressure, so on and so forth. But in allostasis, which they say a lot of black women suffer from, they are just changing with the environment and desensitized to it. So instead of your body trying to lower the blood pressure, lower the heart rate, your blood pressure stays up, but you still learn how to maneuver in those stressors, right? So when you're dealing with racism, when you're dealing with poverty, when you're dealing with health conditions, instead of your body trying to calm itself down, you just learn how to live in that heightened state, which is unhealthy, which is also crazy to me too. Now, it also talked about how there's a belief that black women are unlike any other woman, as well as some of the names that we're tagged with. Some of them are the angry black woman, right? Too much aggression. The Jezebel, which is black women are promiscuous and hypersexual by nature. And it talked about how when black girls are over-sexualized, but then also black girls will be victims of sex crimes and no one will believe them because they're already perceived to be hypersexual, right? Another one is the adultification and criminalization in childhood starting. We heard about the school pipeline, school to prison pipeline. That's a huge research project there. You guys should look into that. There was also the hypersexualization of childhood, the teacher bias, which we've heard about, right? Teachers don't really think that black kids can perform well, so they don't really expect them to do so, which results in those kids being unmotivated. So it kind of ends up being like a self-fulfilling prophecy, unfortunately. Another one is that black women are perceived to not show emotion, right? That they do not need anybody. And I have seen a lot of us have that kind of mentality. I had that mentality for a certain amount of time. And I think that comes as a trauma response of never having anybody. So you learn to adapt, which is kind of goes back to, right, that allostatic load, right? You feel like I haven't had anybody, so I'm going to just maneuver and make it despite me not having that. So really, really interesting. If you guys can find anything on the strong black woman archetype, the research, definitely look it up, especially if you are a black woman, because it's very eye-opening and educational. Might make you look at the way that you're living your life a little bit different, or the women around you.
I did download the study. Like when I saw that, I immediately went and found the study and I downloaded it because I actually planned on reading it while I was on my way back from DC. However, I went to sleep. So, and I didn't expect, like I said, I just got this information about FD's video today. So, and I just saw in real time him mentioning the John Henryism and all of that. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll show this to them right now. But I am planning on reading through that study first and then doing something about that. But yeah, with that being said, hold on, let me get rid of this so we can be up here together. Yeah, everyone, I think came up first, and then it was Concern, and then Jermaine. So we're okay. Go on to else.
Hey, good evening, good people, good evening, Vitamin. Um, oh wow, it's after that last video, so much to I'm trying to figure out where to start. But I will start with it's interesting for FD to say that he's not I don't think he ever ascribed himself as being wealthy, but he definitely gave the impression that he was out here racking up the funds, if you will, from a content creator standpoint. And I say that this was around the time when I believe Destiny, he and Destiny were kind of, having a pissing match, and Destiny dropped to 10K like easily. Um, so it was just like I thought that financial challenge was out of like just two men having a financial pissing match about who has not the most money, but like neither one of them backing down from, their financial status. So fast forward to this, and I guess sort of leading with taking on his cousin's two daughters would be such a financial burden on he and his wife, and I guess their children. It was just interesting. So I wanted to point that out. um I don't disagree with taking on additional children and being like that, it's a slight, like it wouldn't impact anyone. Yes, it does. Children, especially providing them a beneficial environment, I'll say that, one that would support them, a healthy environment, can be a financial challenge. But it almost seems as if there is no attempt to even try. I don't know what they're working out in the background. It's just the framing was just so weird. And I agree with you, Vitamin, that if it were boys, that it would, in my opinion, would seem like there would be a greater sort of effort, if you will, to take them in, and whatever the financial burden would be because we have to save these young Black men. I that's just what I was reading from it. And I will say lastly, just, not to take up all the time, that I get trying to bring resources to the cousin. Yes, it's sure point people to the GoFundMe, but it's the way that you did it, sir. I feel like conflating it with the depression of Black men, and then yeah, so here's my issue with my depression. What's going on with me is because this is what my cousin is presenting me with, and yes, I did say that Black men are out here taking care of their families, but my cousin's two fathers of her children aren't even stepping up. So it was just a lot of like it was just weird. The bill really didn't support his argument. I wish he just would have led with um if this is in to garner support, or if it ended up being to garner support, I just think the framing should have been better um regarding that. And like you said, it's going to bring unnecessary negativity to her, especially when she's dealing with something so devastating. We who had a friend who did lose her battle to cancer. It is a lot. It is a lot on everybody, not just on the one person who is seemingly making more money than others. It's a burden to everyone who is helping to care for that person. Is it more so for the person who is dealing with it. So I didn't like how he sort of centered himself in that situation. And then at the end, the video is interesting how Black women are always labeled, or Black people, but I'll say specifically Black women, are labeled as angry yet emotionless. So how can the two reside? So if I am, are they trying to say we're unaffected by emotion? But how can you be unaffected if you are actually displaying the
Oh no. Can y'all hear
Yep.
me? Okay. Well, until 2 else comes back, you can go ahead. But she was cooking. She was cooking. But you could
Totally.
go ahead, concerned.
Well, I mean, honestly, um, she was cooking, and I don't know what possessed him to talk like that about the children, but it was incredibly self absorbed. because those children are going to see this video, and you are adding insult to injury during what is obviously the hardest time in their life. They're literally losing their mom, and you want them to feel unwanted right now. Like, it's just so irresponsible, so childish, so self-absorbed. And it made me just lose off of him entirely. Like, no, I am not an FD fan. And I am just not interested in pretending that this man does not have detrimentally low respect for women and what we go through as parents, as people in his in men's life, even as a cousin, because I don't know what she has done for him. We don't know anything about their cousin relationship, but for him to rub her nose in it right now, like, for it, because she could be watching this video. This woman has not passed yet, and these kids could be watching. Like, why do you need them to feel more shame, more discontent, more upheaval than they're feeling right now? First of all. Second of all, why are you bringing this to the internet? Why do you want, because people, like, people are going to find those kids. Kids are mean to each other. If the kids in these children's classes hear this, that could be another thing, right? Like, we know what, I have not raised a child personally, and I am only thinking right now of the best interest of the children, because very real, like, FD does not seem pressed. He seems very focused on what he's got going on, and really is annoyed and dismissive to what everybody else got going on. So I'm going to be dismissive to what he said he got going on. I think that it is beyond disrespectful to the entire family outside of this one cousin for you to be bringing our business to the streets like that, and for you to make to be mean to these kids at this time. And then off of the back of Mark Lamont Hill, where you're like, oh, Mark, like, we need to, like, I'm like, Mark, we need to care about Mark, da 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 da. Like, you have not, sir, like, stop. I'm so sick of this man taking W's that he has not earned. He is not Mark Lamont Hill. Mark Lamont Hill was professor. He finished his PhD. He went and he did the time in all of the different news network. He's a trained journalist, and he's been consistent. You don't have, just because you were once a PhD candidate, once a teacher, and you are married, it doesn't mean that you are a pillar in our community. I'm just so sick and tired of him feeling like anybody got to kiss his behind. And those are my thoughts. Jermaine, I'd love to hear yours.
Welcome, Jermaine. I know you've been waiting. That's nice. Like I said, I don't know if you had heard it before because you were coming in, but yes, this is a Black woman-centric space. So I personally am not going to do a lot of, or the only devil's advocacy that will happen here will come from me. So just wanted to let you know that. But welcome. How are you?
That's the problem with you Black women. Y'all always want
no.
the center. Whoa.
No, you didn't wait for this. Oh, you gotta go. No. Yeah, no, we don't do that. We're not obligated to listen to that.
Like,
And
why?
Even if that was a joke, you did that in poor taste. I don't know, but we're not going to find out again. Told you, we don't do that here. So, okay. Yeah. Sorry, guys. That's the thing about vetting.
Bruh, because here's the thing. Like, I am so tired. I say it with my whole spirit. I am so tired of...
Petty, he said it. Why would you do that? Why would you do... You know I don't play.
Petty,
you know I do not play.
Petty.
If that was him, child, He played too much.
He really do. Petty, come back and get your talking to because you out of pocket.
Because why would you do that?
Especially during a time like this.
Why would
Petty.
you do that?
I'm not sure what the contents of this live stream are, but clearly this is not the place to play.
I'm dragging FD.
So FD put out a video. I haven't seen it yet, and I came in pretty late, so I only have commentary on the John Henryism.
Oh yeah, we talked about that too. Yeah, FD made a video lamenting being a good guy and being expected to show up as a good guy, and there are little black girls in the mix of this bullshit that he framed. And again, it's not me having a problem with an individual, because I told y'all before, like there's a lot of
Is
things that
FD? Is FD fighting with black girl children who he identifies as like the girl who rejected him because he's a good guy or
no.
something like?
I
Okay. Oh, I
suggest
don't know what's going
you.
on.
So I suggest you go and watch his video about Mark Lamont Hill or it's him on there now. It's either a thumbnail with him and Mark Lamont Hill, or there's a thumbnail of him and the word depression. You could watch that. It's only like 17 minutes long, and then if you want, you can come back and converse
Okay.
with us.
I
It's
think I'll just.
degenerate. All it's gonna do is make you annoyed. Good
I
luck.
think I'll just pause and stay on mute until we're on John Henry.
No, we're on John because he talked about John Henryism. What do you want to say about John Henryism?
So I haven't seen the study yet. Thank you for linking it in the comments. I did see the video you showed, a little bit of it, and then I like saved it and put it to the side because I can only take so much. It was a lot going on TikTok that day. I can only take so much. I gotta like moderate. But
Yeah, that video from TikTok, I played that after FD's thing only because I already had awareness of that TikTok and that study, and I was going to make a different video about it. But he happened to mention John Henryism in his video, and so that's how it
that's
came up.
that's new. My initial thoughts. My bad. My initial thoughts were why John Henryism? Why not like Harriet Tubmanism or I don't know Sojourner Truthism? Why does it have to be a man? Given that like I understand that the story is popular, but I'm wondering who wrote the study. I haven't looked into it yet because this feels like something that you would be conscious about if we're writing a study about black women and we're immediately comparing them to men. This seems unusual for a sociological study. Well, not unusual if white people wrote it, is what I'm getting into. But and then the second thing had to do with the sort of unnecessary strength that I think the way that the phrasing black women have learned to just have this stress and have I'm not sure how to describe the phrasing, but it seems like okay, black women have become strong. Black women are strong, but it's in response to stress and it's in response to all these issues that they're dealing with every day, and they're being strong and just living life strong. Like everyone else is living life in a state of rest. He's living life in strength. Wait, can they see me? Can they hear me?
They should
Can
be
y'all
Yeah,
hear
able
me?
to. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. I think that it reads to me like what the medical workers do with black skin, where they say, "Oh, black people have evolved this skin to resist our cutting tools, and they don't need pain medication and stuff like that because they evolved. Their skin evolved to just live with the pain and deal with it and stuff like that." And that's kind of what I was getting from this study, which makes me feel like not so good about it. I haven't read it yet, to be fair, so I don't want to be bad faith, but already just based on my intro, based on the TikTok video. So yet to see what's to come, but I don't like the framing that they're just strong and living because they're not. They're dying. Black women are dying, and it's not just like being killed. There's also stress-related death. Um, yeah, like we didn't evolve thick black skin. We're just dying in the medical field. They're just killing us, but still saying that we are just dealing with this dealing with it and being strong and are able to take it despite. But I don't think we're able to take it. I actually think people are dying. So that's all I got for now. I'll go watch his video.
The
Okay,
thing, can I respond to you, Petty, real quick? The biggest
No.
the biggest frustration to me is like with the John Henryism particularly is like, sir, you are not committing to doing the work. You did not qualify that you did it. You did a whole bunch of work that we need to feel sorry for you about. Like, he did not describe the level of effort that he was putting in to warrant the idea that he is tired. And I'm sorry, I need Black men to show me receipts of what they've done to be so tired. Because as far as I know, with FD, he is a video creator, which there is like video editing all the time. He started NEBA. I'm not mad at him, but to make it look like you are out in the community doing all of this work and you are now so tired and because you have been doing all of this work, like, sir, we don't know if this is the first or the second or the third straw. And I understand the lady saying, hey, I don't necessarily want to take on kids that I can't afford. I understand that. And you don't have to, but you don't have to make it worse for the kids, which I know no one said, right? But you don't have to, but also where else do we think these kids are going to go? I am so sick and tired of these social justice warriors who never want to have to put their neck out for anything. Like, how are you going to be Mr. Leftist putting your neck out for every 5 seconds for talking about everybody and their mama and how and all of the things that go wrong, and then when it comes to you having to inconvenience yourself, even like you're upset. And it's like, I'm sorry, like when I think about the riches I want in this world, because I do want riches, I like riches, I really do. I like the expectation for your blessing is also for you to be able to bless other people. Like, the fact that this man is, like Tuel said, talking out of two sides of his neck, and the fact that he just wants to, because he said so, we have to believe that he's out here hardworking and is about to pop down. It's such a lie.
I feel like it's interesting that he was sort of comparing himself to Mark Lamont Hill, but I didn't hear in that clip Mark Lamont Hill shirking away from the responsibilities. He just talked about being overwhelmed by being the person who is doing the said things. To me, what I got from FD's video is that he appears to be trying to shirk the responsibility or the request of his cousin. Now he has the right to. I just don't think being public about it was the move. Fine if your cousin was agreed or consented to you sharing about her, her cancer and garnering sort of attention towards her GoFundMe. But to openly discuss how these girls or adding these girls to your family would be a burden, I don't think he thought about how that would, number one, be perceived by the mother of the daughters as well as the daughters. Because let's be clear, if I heard my cousin, uncle, whoever, anybody talking about me in that way, yeah, I don't want to go over there with you because you really don't want me there. You just so happen to take me in because of what's going on with my mom. And let me tell you, that doesn't feel great. Like that, I would encourage him to step back. I know he's not, and really look at the tonality and how he framed it. Like, sir, you like, yeah, this gonna be a burden towards me and my, towards my family. How would you feel if that were you? Isn't the community supposed to come together and support each other? Like, you have no problem being out here supporting these other men and their woes and their mental health. So why not consider these girls? Why not consider their mom? Don't you think if her mom had the things in place that she probably wouldn't even ask? And so let's also unpack that too, because I know as a person myself, it has to be dire straits. before I'm out here asking anyone for any help. And honestly, that does come from childhood and overhearing the adult conversations from family members who said they love me, but also, under the whispers of, oh, it's a burden, or these kids are this and these kids are that. And again, like I said, I don't, as a parent myself, I don't want to discount the fact that taking on or raising children isn't a task in and of itself, especially if you want to provide them a healthy environment. But yeah, it's just the framing of them as a burden, and this whole thing is a burden unto you is just weird, and it is tone deaf. But what do we expect from him?
Mind you, he wants the cred to be the good man, even though he didn't do nothing. He did not take the kids in. He did not make it clear that he was going to. Like, he's a good man by default because he said so. And to your point about like the kids always, you wouldn't want to go with him or anything like that. Can you imagine if he does decide to take the kids in, how people are going to talk about those kids when they finally, like, there's no way that family pictures can go up and have those kids be shown now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, there was absolutely no consideration about what the experience of the children at the end of the day would be. There was no kind of consideration about the tone that this sets for their psychological well-being in terms of where they see themselves in relation to him, his household, all of those types of things. Now, and is he a parent? Absolutely not. But again, if you're talking about this as if you're considering and it's a real possibility that you would bring these kids into your house, then it's 100% your responsibility to think about the psyche of these children. As a woman who had a child, when I started dating again and everything like that, I got involved with my second child's father, and we were talking about housing situations and stuff like that. I told him, I can't be living in a place with you where my child does not have a designated spot for herself, where her things can be, where she doesn't have to pack it up or roll it up or anything like that, because psychologically that is jarring. And I'm not saying that's what would happen at the girl's house. I mean, with the girls at his house, they may have the designated spot. But again, by speaking about them in this manner, and it's not me saying that he shouldn't feel this way at all, but to bring it onto the internet proper, because even if this was something for Patreon or Nebula or whatever the fuck he does, that's not the general public. You get what I'm saying? If you're going to, or take it to a therapist's couch, you get what I'm saying? But just the way, it's not about this idea that like he's not allowed to have his own feelings and he's supposed to be over the moon about it and suck it up. That's not what I'm saying either, because I know the wrong, right people, whatever, seeing this will try to minimize what I'm actually saying by saying that I'm saying that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you brought this to the internet in a very public way. You painted a specific kind of picture about your about your woman family member who is dying and her life circumstances around in mixed company, and it's mixed company because of the spaces you go in and stuff you talk about and the things you say people are saying about you. So you opened her up to all that bullshit, and now her children and talking about it in this way. How the fuck are they, if they see this, how are they supposed to feel comfortable around
literally
you?
adding insult while she's dying? Like, it would be the worst circumstances. I don't know, like cancer. I'm sorry. I get that we want to be self-interested in these times. I'm not trying to knock. And again, I'm not a parent, so what do I know about what I would be signing up for? But what is really frustrating to me is how much we're always begging everybody to give a crap about the Black community, but we are never expecting each other to stand up. Like, why should Destiny donate to Cop City when you won't even stand up for your biological family member? Like, I'm just so sick and tired of how we make it look like only women have to think about family. Neither of you guys said anything wrong, but it's like there is no way that I even told my mom one time, I said to mommy, like one time, if I got pregnant, I would send the kid to Jamaica and live with her. Like, and it was. I mean, I haven't been pregnant. It didn't work out. That, like, I was married once, and so I don't know. But the point is, like, it is so common for people to take in other people's kid. Like, it is like, we need to stop making these men feel like this is some sort of special burden. No, if you guys go out having kids, somebody got to take care of them. And even though FD didn't do it, like, so you want Uncle Sam of Georgia to take care of these kids? That's who. So you would rather us, like, sign up a petition for a governor or somebody to come through and take care of these kids than you have to lift a finger? There's something sick about it, that he's seen in his mind as this social justice warrior, and he would rather petition the community to help these people out than somebody he's directly able to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just it makes the rest of it a farce, if you ask me. It makes the rest of the political action that he's done come show up to me like a farce.
Again, it's just, it could have been framed a completely different way. If you wanted to conflate it or show how you relate to Mark Lamont Hill in this situation, you could have said, my family is, we're rallying around to support my cousin who is, has this health, who health is failing her. You didn't even have to put out that she has cancer. I don't know. You could have said anything. You didn't have to go so deep into her medical records, right?
Again, speaking as a content creator, as someone who understands the game of content creation and all of that stuff, that's a trigger. That's a shortcut to sympathy and payola. You know what I mean? Oh, she has cancer. Again, my concern is the rest of the framing. It's very clear that, like, you really aren't. You don't seem, anyway. It's not coming off as if you're really truly concerned or disturbed, right, or upset by the chain of events. You're literally like, hey, other black men, are you a good black man? Doesn't it get on your nerves when people are looking to you to actually show up and do things that reinforce this identity that you've taken on for yourself? Yeah, me too. Let's talk about,
And that was a sick way of doing that, because if you were really trying to relate to, again, back to Mark Lamont Hill, there's a contrast in how they both shared what they're dealing with. Again, Mark Lamont Hill didn't seem like he was shirking the responsibility of what he's been, the task that he's decided to take on, because he didn't have to take on helping the the son of the incarcerated family member. You didn't have to, but it's the framing, sir. It's sickening how you're like, yeah, this survivor's remorse, can be a motherfucker, because look, everybody looking to me to take care of these kids, instead of just saying, like, hey, well, we have, as a family, this is where we're dealing with, and we need y'all support. It's just take some care in how you share other people's stories, sir, especially a family member, especially a black woman. Like, again, like you said, there will already be dissenting comments. Well, look, she should have chose this, or we already know how that comment section is going to go off, unless he starts deleting them and really curating the comment section. But it was just like no care of. It was, again, him centering himself in a situation that shouldn't have been about him. Or if you're going to make something about you, then don't include the story. Simple as that. You could have made a
right. Like, he literally could just been like, I'm going through. He literally could have just been like, I'm going through something. My relative is passing away. Here's her GoFundMe. But oh yeah, she has kids who aren't stepping up to help, and it really is kind of getting on. Like, the framing was just disgusting. Honestly, even at a young age, if I was that kid, I'd be like, nigga, fuck you. I'll find my, like, it's just,
dude.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
There's no, like,
leave me alone.
Yeah, like don't. And the thing about it is that I wonder if that's not the point, to have you say, well, then it don't matter, and then it be about your attitude. Because truly, this is not a stupid man. Like, this man is not a stupid person. So all of this, he had to edit the video, film the video, think about the opportunity, whatever. I'm sorry, this is giving that you wanted to push these people away and you didn't want to have to be the bad guy. And you thought that because you focus on black males' issues, that it was going to be, because he wants black men's support. So obviously the black men are going to support him in the comments. He don't care about.
He came where he knew he was going to get the type of response and support or whatever that he wanted without having to I mean, he will, like, I'm sure some people, I don't feel like I'm the smartest person in the world. So I'm sure there's other people who picked up on, the stuff we picked up on or whatever. But it's just like, in a general sense, oh yeah, you a solid black man, FD, and that's why I fuck with you, and this and that and the other. And then the white people are going to come and pat him on the dreads and say, oh yes, you're a credit to your race, all of those things. So it's just like, okay. But QB said, completely debunk the provider and protector trope, because any woman would just be like, help these kids. And that's what I'm saying. When I heard the story being told to me, I'm like, okay, so just a regular day for a black woman, basically.
Right?
Just a regular day for a black woman?
Okay.
Don't be the eldest.
Oh, go ahead, 2 L's.
Oh, sorry. Or don't be the eldest sibling or the only child. Then would you know what I mean? Like, where are you gonna go? Who are you gonna rely on? Like, sir, you're speaking as if you're dealing with something that is new to people. Like, I'm not saying he can't feel have all the feelings, but this isn't new and it's not male specific. So let's not do that.
And lo and behold, you and I both know that there are men in that family right now, based off of the way he characterized his family, that have women taking care of their kids, aunties, uncles, grandmas taking care of their kids. It is incredibly common. My mom was raised by her grandmother. Like, stop it.
You know, right now, one household with a woman taking on other people's something going on that does not have, even whatever he's saying is not that much. And I'm not saying he's the richest person in the world, but clearly he's doing better than the other people in his family. But there are people right now in their little project house, or they on their little, government benefits or whatever's going on right now, that is doing what he's being asked to do, only being asked at this point to do, have been doing. It was never a question whether or not they were going to do it, whether they knew or believed they had a choice or not. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't care about his stupid little feelings. I really don't. Like, you literally made it worse. You made their mom dying of cancer, a worse memory than it had to be. F you. Like,
He's the godparent?
No, it's his cousin.
Sir, see what I'm saying? But you could be a cousin and the godparent. That is literally your job. You sign up. See, that's the problem when people don't really understand the roles that they ascribe. If you're calling or you deem someone the godparent, or you consider yourself the godparent, fleshed itself out. That is your role as the godparent. Is that unknown? I mean, is that not well known? I'm confused.
Girl.
And what annoys me, this is what annoys me so much about him, like when these discussions are had about him and how he relates to black women and subjects that have to do with black women, his idea is like, oh, well, it's too much trouble for not enough importance or whatever like that. This is your fucking family. Like, this is what why the things that I was pointing out about him just in general on social media, how he talks about things that have to do with black women, this is an indication of how that shit shows up in your real life, because this is your fucking family. This is your fucking and so the way that you are being so cavalier, the way that he was being so, dismissed, and not even registering, like, it's not clocking to him It's not registering to him how he's being harmful. You get it too, how he's being harmful in this moment to his family members, specifically those babies that are supposed to be expected potentially to be under his care.
Or if they go to somebody else's care now because them shame and don't want to bother, right? Maybe he successfully is able to push this off to somebody else. But honestly, if he thinks his family don't lose off of him, he is sadly mistaken. Whatever cred that he thought he had within his family for having succeeded is completely decimated now. Not because he didn't take in the kids, but because him act this way. Because he made it very clear that he thinks he's better than this part of the family. He thinks he's better than them.
But you think, I don't know, but you honestly think, especially if it's that desperate of a situation, families tend not to be like, we're just getting to a point where people are starting to unpack bullshit dynamics inside of families. So they probably like, whatever, as long as you do what we need you to do. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm pretty sure there was a conversation had, but there wasn't no stringent thoughts. And this is not a denouncement on the family. I'm just saying, like, this is new concepts of really unpacking these dynamics and calling this type of stuff out when we see it. Most people are just trying to get their needs met. And so what I'm saying is, odds are that whatever awareness they have of the way he conducts himself, and he basically comes from a background of hotepery. I'm saying they used to this shit and they're just trying to make sure that the baby's got somewhere to live. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I think what's adding insult to injury for me is the Diddy of it all, because like men get away with doing and behaving and acting like all of this stuff, and then they want to cry about, everything being against them. And it's like, sir, you did nothing. You did not lift a effing finger. You said you don't want to, and that you have resentment towards doing it. So like, it is, you've made this exponentially more uncomfortable for everyone involved during literally like the wrong time. Like, you guys know what I'm saying. I'm so exhausted with how men have been behaving lately. Like, I'm so exhausted with how we make it look like they don't have to, like, them lifting a finger, or them men have no concept of responsibility. They have no concept of responsibility. None.
Yeah. Mind you, and this is a quote unquote good guy, got all the trappings of a good guy, good man on paper, married to a full black woman, full black babies. He's in the home, he's active with his kids, all of that type of stuff. But this is still what we're met with when we got little black girls coming into the picture. It's like, where the fuck are we supposed, like, you get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And then you get called misandrist and all this other stuff. It feels like you're screaming into the wind, because it's like, we're not ever fucking safe.
And then if these little girls, and I don't want to make it worse, but like, if these little girls ended up in situations that he thinks are beneath him, like just up in difficult situations, like they end up with the wrong person.
How would they even know? That's the thing. It's so sad that so many little girls are being brought up in communities and situations where they don't even have a point of reference to be able to say, this is beneath me. Again, they just need to get their needs met, or whatever needs they can get met.
I understand. It's just
I would like him
Go ahead.
to. I would like for. I wish the question would have been posed to him. Would he feel the same way if they were boys instead of girls? Like, how much more effort?
That was my first thought. That was my first thought, and honestly, again, we'll never know because that's not the situation. But my opinion is, if it was boys, it would have been framed completely differently. At least in terms of talking about the children. He would have been talking about how he's happy that he could be there to bring them up in a world that's always, because their fathers weren't. You get what I'm saying? Like, even if he gave the same details, it would have been framed completely differently. You're not going to tell me any different.
Of course.
Yeah.
He would never admit it, but of course. They set Black women up. That's just the point. Because if these kids were to start acting in ways that are unbecoming in order to survive, you don't hear say how they ain't about nothing or whatever. People don't realize that you have to give people options. People need options, man. Like, why you want to put these kids, like, I don't know if the alternative is a foster care system, but the amount of time this man spends talking about the system, he wants to leave his family to the system when he has an opportunity to do something different. The way how him talk about the system, y'all understand what I'm saying? Like, if you know what is out there, why would you be so cavalier about how you would need to step up in order to make that not happen? You see what I'm saying? Like, these, like, but they don't have no sense of responsibility, no sense of personal ownership for the community. They just think as long as their family is living well, they are a good Black man. I know you said don't talk about the wife, but you ain't sleeping next to me after you did all of this mess. I don't know, man. Like, this is a turn off. This is a turn off.
The reason I say don't speak about her is because at the end of the day, like, it's not reasonable for her to be invested in her husband. That's her husband. That's the father of her children. You know what I mean? Like, so we can get into because of what we feeling about what he's doing or saying or whatever. But her bread is buttered on his side. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not going to, we talk about this all the time. I'm not going to sit here and drag a woman for going for her best interest in this situation. She don't know us. That's her family. That's where all her time and effort and everything has been invested in. So there's no point in trying to drag her about that. And at the end of the day, he's the one that we see doing whatever. So we don't need to jump over him to try to get to her. That's also misogynoir.
Facts. I understand.
And ultimately, she really doesn't even have. For all we know, she could be vying for them to come. She could be saying that, be the family members that take them in.
She's probably happy to get some girl energy. I'm sure she's probably happy to get some girl energy. And from what I've seen of her, she seems very sweet. So, whatever. But like, yeah, there's no basis for us to speak negatively about her. So that's what I'm saying. Like, let's just leave her out of it because she's not a part of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, go ahead, 2Ls. You weren't saying something? Okay. I was just, like, yeah, I lose off of him now. That is it. That is all. I lose off of him entirely. Just, nah.
Well, thank you guys for coming up, and also an impromptu little side quest with Jermaine. And thank you, Concern. You actually brought it to me again. Like, I heard about it in another space, but you brought it to me again. Like, no, you gotta watch this. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. I appreciate it. And I know, like, you was one of the last of the Mohicans riding for that man. So it had to be bad.
Girl, upset my spirit. Like, had me looking like Boo Boo the fool. And I don't know. There's something about intelligent men that make me think that there's hope for us to turn things around. Like, oh, if they only knew better, if they would do better, like, because I think about it in the terms of like, how are we going to build the numbers? But ultimately, he is dangerous because of the fact that, to your point, he behaves this way. He makes people. He uses his intelligence to create excuses for these men to keep doing the foolishness they're doing. And I feel like like, I can't suffer it anymore. Like the intelligent Black man that just refuses to be of positive to the people around him, because you can't tell me that he thinks highly of Black people in general, even though I know that he obviously thinks more highly of the women. He doesn't think highly of the men in general. He thinks that they're a poster case. So I don't know where that lands, but it's one of those of there's something wrong with the way that he relates to Black people, and I think it has to do with him having money now, him feeling up.
Listen. It is white supremacist, misogynoir. It's all of those things. And to be clear, it's in all of us. It's embedded in all of us. I talk all the time about landmines. None of us are immune to its effects, to its presence, all of those things. But for me, it comes down to how willing are you, and this can only come out in the wash with your conduct. How willing are you to be aware and ready to dismantle it in real time and correct it in real time? Because it's going to pop
like
up.
He's shown us on a few occasions that he's not willing to dismantle it. He actually upholds it when it benefits him.
Yeah, and as I say all the time, whenever I am in a space with him, I'm gonna call it out. I don't give a fuck. Like when I see it, I'm gonna say it, and I don't want to hear you whining about Black women don't like you. Because
why would we like you? Exactly.
This is why.
You don't like us. You are mean. It is just incredibly, you are unnecessarily mean to Black women. That was gratuitous cruelty to those two Black girls. That was gratuitous cruelty.
Hi, Wake Up. Hi, Erica.
Hey, Diva. Hey, Wake Up.
But yeah, okay, so we'll do final thoughts. 2 L's, you can go, and then Concern, and then I'll wrap up.
I would have liked to said that he wouldn't have disappointed us. Well, I don't really give him too much credence, so he didn't disappoint me. But he just shows time and time again that there is no concern for Black women, because he didn't take much care in telling his cousin's story. He certainly doesn't appear to be taking care of stepping up and at least, I don't know, coordinating, figuring out how to find care for these girls while they are also dealing with what their mom is going through. I guess we're finding out more and more how self-centered he is, because he certainly centered himself in telling that lady's story. That's insane. Yeah, and this whole good guy trope is, the mask is falling. I would like for them to define good, but in that definition, they will always find a way to center themselves.
All right. And that's facts. That is facts. Wake Up. The topic is I was watching one of FD's more recent videos, like within the last couple weeks, because I had been hearing people talking about it, and I didn't watch it, but Concern brought it to me again today and was so upset about it. And it basically, FD was watching a clip of Mark Lamont Hill on Joe Budden's show, and he just was talking. They were saying he seemed low energy, and he was saying he was a bit depressed, and he was running off a few reasons why he was depressed. And so then FD jumps in yeah, this is hard for us good guys, when we're doing all the good guy things, and we're so depressed and nobody wants to listen to us, and it's hard, and we're still trying to be these good guys. And then he talks about his family member, a woman who has 2 children, and she is currently actively dying of cancer. And he speaks about her in such a way where he's sure to let people know that she is a single mother of 2 children by 2 different men who are not active. Um, and so, therefore, the family tapped him, since he seems to be doing so well financially or whatever, at least as far as they're concerned, to take her children. And these are girl children. And he said nothing good about the cousin. You know, he didn't necessarily say anything bad, but this is where I come in on that good guy shit of like they get away with a lot, because did he technically say anything bad? But I personally believe he knew better than to tell the story the way he told it in mixed company. He could have put it on Patreon. He could have put it on Nebula. He could have did a lot of other things. But he did it in such a way and gave details that I feel like opened the dying woman and her children up to a certain level of scrutiny and bullying, whatever else you may call it. Not to mention, if the girls were to see this video, personally, I would think they would be hurt and offended and then feel unsafe in his presence, because he's basically saying, oh, they're burdened. I don't really want to be bothered with it. And their mama didn't pick right. And so now I got to be burdened with having to care for them.
That's what he said.
Basically.
That, like, he said that, and he all but called this family ghetto. I don't know if they are like, we need to stop making it look like single women are automatically impoverished. And we gotta, like, my final thoughts are that when I tell you that this has been a disappointing week for my belief in Black men, just in terms of the Diddy trial, just in terms of like FD and how low the bar is, how obnoxiously, embarrassingly low the bar is, to the point where they're rubbing in our face that, you know, they have to take care of our little children. I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but just he's a farce. Anything that like, he ain't about what he says he's about. He ain't on it. Nope. Those are my final thoughts. Eloquently put, but that's how I feel.
Hold on, go on a little bit more. My baby just called me.
No worries. But yeah, like, I mean, I saw this video when it premiered last week. It's on his channel. It's still up. It's on his Signified's channel, which is not even his main channel, mind you. His main channel is the one that has so much more visibility. And if it was purely for getting donations, it should have been on that channel, first of all. Kilo, you're very happy to say you told me so, but it's all right. I am where I am, and I'll hold my L. But I will say that yeah, he just sucks, dude. Like, he just sucks. Like, if y'all watch it again, I don't know what people are saying in his chat. I don't know what, I mean, I can put the link in the chat for sure. But he let it go live. He put the GoFundMe link was still up. I understand that. I understand there will be no views from you. I get it. It's, I guess, what the straw that broke my back, so to speak. The straw that broke my back was just how dismissive and disrespectful he was to the kids. Like, how little he cares for these children's well-being and mental health during literally the worst thing that could possibly ever happen to anybody. Can you imagine your mom dying while you're going through puberty, and somebody makes it worse, even by accident? No, Campari.
No, absolutely. It says the one view here was the whole video. Yes, that was the whole video. That was on his B-side channel, so that's like his burn. He got a bunch of channels because there's a bunch of channels keep popping up with his damn face, even though I hit do not recommend for the other channels. Now he got other shit coming up, FD gaming and shit. Like it's a bunch going on. But I ain't mad at it. Get your money. But I want to go to what Wake Up said. His behavior is bad and continues to show how self-centered he is and refuses to protect women. And this is my thing. Like, I said this in the beginning coming in. When I first encountered FD online, I was fine with his advocacy, supposedly specifically for like young black boys and men, because I'm for women. You know, I'm for women, I'm for single mothers, those type of things. So I have a niche down focus of people that I advocate for and whatnot. I don't see a problem with it, but my problem is these finer things that, like I said, you can't quite put your finger on until you've kind of seen it in a specific way. The way he talked about this situation and his family members. That's what I'm talking about. It's not something that you're automatic, and it's easy for people to gaslight you and say, "Oh, you're just being a misandrist, or you're just a man hater, you're just bitter, you're just this, you're just that." Like I said, it's not trying to take away from the fact that mental health, men's mental health, whatever, is real shit and should be dealt with. But I can still walk and chew gum at the same time and acknowledge that the way you talked about this was harmful, passive aggressive, violent, and it ain't even about actively protecting. You actively offered them up for a bunch of bullshit. So protecting black women isn't all the time about, oh, I'm going to center them. I'm not asking you to center black women. I'm asking you, or expecting you, to be civil and kind and actually treat them like you give a fuck about them and how they feel and what's going on and their mental health. Like, it shouldn't be a trade-off, is what I'm saying. It shouldn't have to be a one or the other.
Yes. And he wants Father of the Year, like, go away. He's just the worst. Anyways, I'm gonna hop down.
All right, girly. I'm just trying to go through the comments to make sure I didn't miss anything. It says QB said I have to go in incognito mode to watch that one. Looks like he'll fuck up my algorithm. Just hit though. You can watch it and then go right back to do not recommend afterwards, because that's what I'm gonna have to do too. It says these niggas don't like kids concerned. I'm trying to tell you, they can have sex with you. They don't care about kids, right? Yeah, he had multiple streams of income. That's what I said. But you sit there acting like you don't know why they think you got money. You got more money than them, and you don't have to do the same things they have to do to get it. At the end of the day, let's talk about that. You could just be at home enjoying your family or whatnot, or at least that's the perception. FD has always had this flippant attitude towards black women. Yeah, and like I said, once I saw it, it's pretty much all I see. You know what I mean? And clearly it comes out and everything. And like I said, my concern is the ways that it comes out when you don't even expect it to. Fuck, even when he be on Olay's channel, you see her getting more and more annoyed with the bullshit. So it's just like, that's what I'm saying. But you got to be able to see it first. Channel says, I get that nuance can be difficult, but someone dropped the terms men's rights activist in the chat. I will say that any person identifying as such is red pilled, and we can call it that. Okay. It says FD truly operates under the framework that black men actively have it worse than black women. Also, under this framework, black women are always at fault and black men are always the victim. Yeah, and like I said, for me, it's clear to see that it runs deep rooted, because even in situations when it should be, you should be able to talk about things in a particular type of way. It'll be a smirk, or, you know, just this arrogance about it. It's very passive aggressive. Anytime, even if he doesn't say the words, it's very much so giving. I don't give a fuck if these bitches are hurt. I don't give a fuck if these bitches die. Who gives a fuck? Like, that's really the energy I get from it. But of course, he's not going to say that. It says, oh, I can tell you the video of his when I knew he had an issue. Oh, please let me know. Yeah, for me, it was the stuff with kidology, the way, because when he was addressing specific things that people were coming to him and saying, like, hey, You're dragging this black woman. You're positioning her, like I'm saying, he's positioning his family members at this point to be attacked in a specific kind of way. It really came off like, man, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about none of that. And I was just like, ooh, that's nasty. And ever since then, I've been good on him. It says, okay, this is all good to know. I think I've seen his main channel in my feed, but I don't often click on sis, man. Yeah. Listen, you gotta be clear. And like I said, I love some smart shit. I love smart black shit. But it gets to a point. It says, I'm so glad I met him from his visits to Themis' channel. If I'd encountered his content first, I don't know if I'd have been able to see him for who he really. No, at first I was delighted. I was just like, oh, this is wonderful. This is so wholesome. It says, so FD's cousin victimized him by dying of cancer. Yes. Why, yes. Not just by dying of cancer, but by dying of cancer and leaving her bastard children for him to raise because she didn't choose right. Yes, that's what's going on. It says immediately that put me off on him. Yeah. I was like, ooh, he's smug about the kidology thing too. And they had the nerve to come over to Themis' channel, even though we all was like, hey, kind of lay off of Olay. But he came over to Themis' channel to try. He did try to, I will say, that's one black woman I've seen him try to protect. But he's trying to protect her from the big bad misandress on Themis' channel. Clock that. But he came over because he came over twice to stop Themis from talking about Olay because Themis made it clear he was about to talk about Olay. He got his big ass over here real quick. But what was I saying? I'm sorry. I forgot what I was saying. I was going in. It says FD at the very least a gateway to red pill content. Yeah. Never got into him because he specifically reminds me of one of my older cousins. That's when he reminds me of so many. That's what I'm saying. Like when I first saw him, there was something very familiar about him. And honestly, I feel like because I feel like he and I have similar attributes in that we both can be quite disarming. It's appearance wise and the way that we speak. We both can be quite disarming. So that people feel comfortable with us and like, oh yeah, it's a good time, it's jovial, it's safe. And so for me, that's when I peeped that misogynoir. I said, oh, it's you. I know you. Because when I talk about that vulnerable median, those are the guys that vulnerable median will get fucked over by. But then when they tell their story, people will try to make it seem like they were dealing with Pookie and Ray Ray and discount them on it. No, it's niggas like him. And I have seen him talk about before. I think it might have been the love video he did when he was talking. It was a couple years ago on Valentine's Day or whatever it dropped. He was talking about black love. And he alluded to being a fuck nigga, which most guys reserve the right to be a fuck nigga until they decide, okay, it's time to grow up. And now I'm going to find my queen who deserves for me to grow. You know what I mean? And so he alluded to being like that. So that's where I'm just like, oh yeah, I know you well. And I ain't fucking with it. She said drag him. Listen. QB said, my aunt always poured into him and gave everyone his ass to listen. Because that's how it be. Because we think that, and it's so sad because we're also starved for that positive being safe with a male that a lot of us do feel like we'll raise the good black man that we can be safe around and be proud of or whatever like that. Like it's sick. It's sick. It says he became a pastor, would do Bible study for the family weekly, was also annoyed when the family's kids would make. Don't you hate niggas that just want to be the center of attention, can't stand nobody else existing, being the main character around them? Ugh. A Pookie and that's what I'm saying. Like when they talk about Pookies and Ray Rays, there is no such. I mean, there are such things as a Pookie and Ray Ray, but in a general sense, all y'all niggas is Pookies and Ray Rays in your own way. It says the misandry. I don't know. I'm gonna click on this just to. Oh, can I click on it? I can only click on it to show the thing. I can't click on the link. But that's all right. Send it to me in the what's the face concerns so I can see it in the Discord. So maybe I can see if I saw that one before. It says, "Yep, freedom from male validation, not just dating, is more than a notion." Absolutely. It said it's the one where he acts like he's scared at the beginning. What he's scared of? What? Let me see something. Sorry, I got something in my throat. He putting a root on me. But yeah, that was it. Oh wait, did you send it? Yeah, let me see real quick if I know what you're talking about. Oh, this one waving the red flag. I didn't see it. Lord, he got bell hooks on the. It's got bell hooks. And Nikki Giovanni, baby, why you take it away? I'll have to look and see. It said like he's scared of misandrists. It was about 2 years ago. Oh wow. I didn't see. I didn't even see that one. He's scared of misandrists, nigga. Ooh, okay. She said, not a root. Yeah, you put a root on me. She said, let's watch together. I want to see it, but I don't want to contribute to views. I'm not watching him. I'm not giving him another second of my life. Now, at least not on this channel. I don't give a damn. This is not going to become a Dragon FD channel because it ain't about that. But yeah. But I'll figure out the same way. Oh, yeah. By the way, I saw your comments about the watch party I wanted to do for the Peter Guns, Amina, Tara love triangle. I'm just trying to figure out how I can do like what platform I'm gonna use because you know that's copyrighted stuff, so I can't do it on YouTube. I don't know if I could do it on Patreon. I don't know if I'm gonna try and do it like in Discord, whatever it is. I will keep you guys updated on how I'm gonna figure out how. Oh, you think he removed? I just bet he fucking did. Yeah, he ain't scared enough of men. He's so not scared of men that he want to let them the fuck out of jail so they can beat up on us. But he can feel good about setting black men free. Anyway, let me get off of here because now I'm getting pissed. But thank you guys for listening and for coming and hanging with me. I just felt like this was important to point out, especially when we talking about like making better decisions, vetting this and that. The other. Try Twitch. That seems I just got anxious about that. I don't know. We'll see. It said, I'll leave bell hooks alone because she ain't here to evolve, but I'm all for dragging this food. You said Twitch is a good platform. I thought it was just for like gamers and stuff, though. I don't want to come over there and like with my auntie energy messing up their space. You know, let the kiddies have what they got going on. But I'll look into it. I'll figure it out either way. But yes, stay tuned. Keep your eye out for that. I'll let you know when I'm doing that. But yeah, if I figure out a way that we can watch things, then and also I do have a Discord, but like I am kind of apprehensive about actually having to run a Discord. Like I'm a great Discord member, but I don't know about like running a Discord, so I don't know. So Twitch is everyone. Yeah, I'll look into it. But all right, guys, I bid you adieu. Thank you for sharing time and space with me. Like I said, vlog is coming within the next couple days. You think he removed? That seemed like something he probably would have needed to remove, and especially now that he called himself, because he came over to the Themis channel talking about he's actively trying to get black women onto his different various channels. So she said, tap me. Oh, Nick, you will help me. Oh, she said Tia can't belong on Twitch. Tia can do Twitch. She got Twitch energy. Okay, she's good and crazy. One of my problematic faves. All right, I'm gonna get off here. I'll keep saying good night. Good night, y'all.